In this video, we're going to be talking about the good and the bad, the pros and the cons, and everything in between of living in Northern Virginia. Hey guys, James Reid with TTR Sotheby's International Realty here, covering DC, Northern Virginia, and the Maryland suburbs. Today we're talking about what it's like to live in Northern Virginia, and let's get started. Okay, our first pro on the list, and it's probably a big reason why you were watching this video, is the incredible job market you have in Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia is home to 14 Fortune 500 companies. Think Amazon, Raytheon, Boeing, Capital One, Freddie Mac, as well as other large employers that are located here, not counting federal agencies, think the CIA, that are located in Northern Virginia. It is a hotbed for jobs, and it's going to continue to grow, so I don't anticipate that slowing down anytime soon. So the job market is certainly the #1 pro on the list for living in Northern Virginia. Our second pro on the list is the proximity to DC. Say your job does take you into DC, well, you have a variety of commuting options available to you depending upon what part of Northern Virginia you live in. You could run, bike, take the metro, or even drive if you need to. And the history that's available to you in DC, right? You've got the Smithsonian institutions. You can certainly take advantage of everything that is DC available to you in non-tourist season. So think cherry blossoms early in the morning, avoiding the crowds. Think the museums that are not on a holiday weekend. You can take advantage of all of that when you're living in Northern Virginia. All right, our third pro on the list, and I alluded to it in the last one, is the history available to you, not just in DC, but in Northern Virginia as well. You've got Old Town Alexandria and all the history there. You've got Mount Vernon. You're a hop, skip, and a jump away from Monticello. You've got Civil War battlefields, if that's your thing. You've got a lot of history in the foundation and forming of this country in Northern Virginia available to you, in addition to DC. So if you are a history lover, you are gonna love Northern Virginia. All right, our fourth pro on the list has got to be education. Whether it's private or public, you're going to be excited to know that there are many highly ranked schools available to you in Northern Virginia. When it comes to the private schools, you've got Madera, Basis, the Potomac School. All of them are amongst the highest ranked in the state of Virginia. When it comes to public schools, you're going to be excited to know that niche.com, ranking all the public school districts in the Commonwealth of Virginia, for that matter, has 4 of the top 6 located in Northern Virginia. Those are Falls Church, Arlington, Fairfax, and Loudoun County schools, all ranked in the top 6 according to niche.com. And if your student is a high achiever, they can also apply to Thomas Jefferson High School located in Fairfax County, and that school was consistently ranked the top high school in the country for 5 years running. Now it is currently ranked 5th in the country. I don't know what they did wrong there, but it's still an excellent school. So education is certainly a huge pro for living in Northern Virginia. Okay, our 5th pro on the list, and I have it as a pro, is weather. There are 4 distinct seasons here, right? Spring, summer, fall, winter, but it's completely subjective on your personal taste. Now, do the summers bother me with them being hot and humid? No, they don't. I grew up in Texas. It was hotter and more humid there. Now, if you're from the Midwest, the winters here are going to be a joke to you, even though everything shuts down when it snows. I don't know why people freak out. They go to the grocery store, they buy every single loaf of bread and all the milk and all the eggs. I don't know what they're making because they all order takeout, in my opinion, but things shut down here, and any excuse for the federal government to close down, they take, especially when it comes to weather. So I think weather is a pro here because you get 4 distinct seasons. You can enjoy them all here. They all have their own charm to them. Winters are fairly mild, in my opinion, and summer, while hot and humid for a short period of time, is not that bad. So depending upon where you're coming from and your perspective, you may feel differently about it, but weather to me is an absolute pro of living in Northern Virginia. Hey guys, if you're getting any value of this video, do me a favor, hit the like button as well as subscribe to help push out to more people just like you. All right, our 6th pro on the list is outdoor activities, and Northern Virginia is unique in the respect that you can be in the mountains or the beaches inside of 2 to 3 hours, depending upon the time of day, day of the week, or if it's a holiday weekend. Now, if you want to go hiking, outstanding. You can be there in under an hour. If you want to do the beach, you can be there 2-3 hours very easily, provided it's not a holiday weekend and everybody else isn't going there with the same idea as you. Now, say if you want to enjoy wineries, right? There are over 90 wineries in Northern Virginia. Say you're not a wine person and you like beer. Well, there's over 60 craft breweries available to you in Northern Virginia as well. Say if you're like me and you got small kids and you can't necessarily take the whole day out to go with your friends and enjoy the wineries. Well, there are plenty of parks and playgrounds available to you. Arlington has the 5th highest ranked park system in the entire United States, but it's not exactly like Arlington or the rest of Fairfax County is a slouch either, right? They're both very active with parks, playgrounds, dog parks, if that's your thing. You have a lot of availability between community centers as well, with swim leagues, soccer leagues, all those things to stay fit, active, and do things outdoors, regardless of where you're at in Northern Virginia. So outdoor activities is a huge, underrated pro, in my opinion, of living in Northern Virginia. Our 7th and final pro on the list for living in Northern Virginia is the airports. Yes, the airports, right? You've got Dulles International in Dulles, and you've got Reagan National in Arlington, Virginia, but you also have BWI in Maryland, And in the coming years, you have Manassas that has a lot of construction going on and the availability of commercial flights. So between the 3 current airports, you have over 300 nonstop destinations, and they serve over 66 countries. So whether you're a business traveler or a weekend warrior, you can really get anywhere in the world nonstop very easily from Northern Virginia. Okay, getting into the cons of the list, and depending upon your personality, you may have skipped all the way through the pros just to watch this section. I know who you are. I do look at the analytics. All right, first con on our list is traffic. Now, the section between Fairfax and Fredericksburg has consistently been ranked the worst stretch of traffic in the nation. The rest of the region as a whole does kind of suck too, but focusing on Northern Virginia, your traffic here really, it's a tale of two commutes, right? Your morning commute starts around 7 in the morning, goes to about 9:30. It used to be 6 to 10, but that was before COVID. It's gotten a little bit easier since then with more people working from home. Your afternoon commute is certainly still from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. It starts with all the government workers leaving early, but around 6 p.m. it actually does ease out fairly well, in my opinion, in Northern Virginia. But it is certainly not necessarily easy to get around all the time, so I would certainly plan your routes, know the backup routes, go on Google. Google will still lie to you, all those things. Plan out your day, and if you're moving here, do a dry run before you come out here, right? Don't test your commute on the weekend. Test it apples to apples, right? If you're gonna come in to DC on a Monday morning, test a Monday morning commute. If you're going between McLean and Tyson's on a Tuesday, test that out, right? Don't leave it to chance. Don't be upset, because once you bought your house, it's really tough to change your commute. Okay, our second con on the list, and this parallels to traffic, is toll roads. There are 6 toll roads in Northern Virginia, and your cost depends on the time of the day and how far along you go on that toll road. Now, if you're in Reston or Herndon and you're commuting to DC, sure, you can take back roads, but more often than not, you're probably going to just suck it up and pay the toll. Now, there are also hot lanes available to you and express lanes. I myself have taken those, especially going to Virginia Beach in the summer with my family, and said, you know what? I can't sit in this traffic for the next hour and a half, and I have no shame. I've spent $40 to save myself 90 minutes in traffic, and I got to tell you, when you've got 2 small kids in the back seat, it makes a world of difference to be able to do that. So for me, that was money well spent, but you may want to keep your $40 on that. I wouldn't do it every day, but I do know some people that have no problem throwing money at toll lanes and just skipping the line, so to speak, and spending hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars a month on the toll roads. So toll lanes, they're not going anywhere. They're very expensive. The cost varies based on the time of day, how far you go, and they are our second con on the list for living in Northern Virginia. Okay, our third con on the list for living in Northern Virginia is the cost of housing. Yes, cost of living is expensive here, but you're not going to not move to Northern Virginia because it's 12 to 15% more expensive on groceries. You're going to not move here because housing is 2, 3, 5, 6 times more expensive than the national average. According to the Federal Reserve, the median price point for a house, a single-family home, at the time of this video is $431,000. Well, that's not the case in Alexandria, right? It's just over $1 million there. Arlington, $1.2 million. Fairfax County is about $900,000, but McLean leads the way there at $1.7 million. So it depends on a variety of factors, right? The closer you live into DC, you can expect it to be more expensive because the cost of land goes up. The more dense an area is, you can expect it to be more expensive. For instance, Arlington County recently introduced missing middle legislation, which got away with most of the single-family zoning in Arlington County, and it created the ability to build more housing options, but not more affordable housing options, according to the county's own words. So where you used to have single-family only, you could build a duplex, a triplex, a quad, things like that in certain sections of Arlington. I would expect Alexandria to adopt their own similar rules in the next year or so, because they are actively looking at that. So housing costs are certainly going to be an inhibitor for you to move to Northern Virginia, and that's why it's our third con on the list. Okay, our fourth con on the list for living in Northern Virginia is the taxes. Now, Virginia as a whole was ranked number 26 according to Wallet Hub for overall tax burden in the United States, so not that bad. But I am neither your CPA or your lawyer, so you need to consult with them about what moving to Virginia means for you, for your tax burden, your income levels, all those things. Now, when it comes to a specific tax, I will bring that up, which is the personal property tax or the car tax, which you are probably not aware of if you're watching this video. So the car tax, what they basically do, and it depends on which county you're in, the rate, but they all work basically the same, is they assess your vehicle value and they multiply it against their rate, and then you get a bill every October for your vehicle. So in Fairfax County, it's $4.57 per $100 of assessed value. So if you have a $30,000 vehicle, which is not outrageous given the current economy, you're going to be taxed just under $1,400 every year at that value. Now, your value goes down every year, but you're going to get a bill every year for your car. And I can tell you, I can think of many other things to spend my money on that are better than a car tax. So car tax number 4 on our list. Okay, our 5th con on the list for living in Northern Virginia is the public transportation available to you. Yes, I know there's a metro system. Yes, I know that counties like Arlington has its own bus system. And it can seem extensive when they list the number of stops available to you. But short of certain sections of Arlington and Alexandria, most of Northern Virginia is few and far in between in terms of public transportation options available to you. You're going to be car dependent in most of Northern Virginia. Yeah, there is a metro line that goes all the way to Dulles Airport as well as Reagan. That's great. You got to get to that line. Are you going to get to it from a bus in your neighborhood? Maybe, maybe not. More often than not, you're going to be driving on your day-to-day life. So public transportation seems like it has a lot of options when you look at the maps, but in actual practical life, most people are car dependent living in Northern Virginia because the options are not as extensive as, say, New York. It's more spread out than the maps would show you. And going from A to B many times is easier, less of a headache, and more reliable in a car than with public transportation. Okay, our 6th and final con on the list is the career-focused, fast-paced nature of life in Northern Virginia as well as the DC region as a whole. This is related to our first pro on the list, the incredible job market. People are moving here for their careers, for their, move up that ladder. They're not necessarily moving here for the rest of their lives, for their retirement. It's very expensive, high cost of living area. So just know that going into it, that your kids' friends, they might not be there for their entire childhood because of the career-focused nature of everyone moving through here. People are still extremely nice, don't get me wrong, but they're not necessarily going to be your neighbors for the next 20, 30 years because of how fast-paced everything is going here. People have their agendas in life, they've got their career goals, and that comes first more often than not. So the fast-paced nature of life, the career focus is our 6th and final con for living in Northern Virginia. Hey guys, I hope that information was helpful for you about living in Northern Virginia. If you thought I missed something, you want to comment, you want to reach out to me directly about your move in or out of the area, my information is below as well. If you want to do some more research, we have some videos here for you. And until next time, I hope to see you around town.